Hey, Saints in Training. Today's basic Bible study is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 1 through 7. Let's get to the milk, honey. All right, Saints in Training. We're back for another Bible study together. Today we're going to be talking about 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 1 through 7. Now, once I get done reading it, maybe hit the pause button, take a few minutes and kind of let it marinate in your brain. So I'll get started and then we'll get to it. If I speak in human and angelic tongues, but do not have love, I am a resounding gong or clashing cymbal. And if I have the gift of prophecy and comprehend all the mysteries and all knowledge, if I have faith so as to move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away everything I own, and if I hand my body over so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, it is not jealous, love is not pompous, it is not inflated, it is not rude, it does not seek its own interests, it is not quick-tempered, it does not brood over injury, it does not rejoice over wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. All right, take your pause. I want that really to marinate in your brain. You know why? Because that's not what the world teaches us love is. But what sticks out in my brain is the first part of this passage. So take your pause. Okay, I'm assuming you paused. If you didn't pause later. But the first part of the passage that really sticks to me is the first part, verses 1 through 3, because it lists there a whole bunch of spiritual gifts that people often either brag that they have or desire that they want or in general focus on. If I speak with human and angelic tongues, how many people have I or you known that, they focus on those tongues, speaking in the tongues? Or if you don't have tongues, you don't have nothing. And then gifts of prophecy, and basically I take this next one as wisdom, to be able to comprehend the mysteries and all knowledge. And then to say, and this is the big one, because how many times have we ever said, oh, I wish I had more faith, or we go to church and we try to increase our faith. But these are all focuses that we have every day if we are trying to walk a Christian life. And right here in Corinthians, it's telling us you can speak with the tongue of angels. You can speak in your tongues. But you know what? If you don't love, you sound like clashing cymbals and a resounding gong, a hollow gong, as some translates. And it kind of cracks me up, because it's like people think that tongues sound really beautiful, and correctly they do. But if that's what our focus is, then we sound like death. The hollow gong, the clashing cymbals, it's not pleasing to your ear, it's not pleasing to the listener's ear. And what they're telling us in the scripture is it's not pleasing to God's ear. bam, reality check. How does that apply to us? How does that apply to us right now? Because this is what I like to do. I like to bring it down to how it applies. We're talking all the things that humanity thinks is important. Now, let's take it out of the church context and let's replace some of it with, human speak. You can have 1,000 followers on Facebook, but if you don't love, you've gotten nowhere. You can have a huge bank account, but if you do not love, you're as hollow as a tomb. Let's see, you can have the influence to say to your followers, do, and they will do. But if you don't love, you're nothing. So that's what I'm saying, is bringing it back down into the reality that we live in today. I really identify with, how it's put in the scriptures, but there have been times when I needed that jump, that bump, where I could overlay it on the world around me to apply it to right now. And I think that's really important that we do that. And we can take it as deep as you want to go and as personal as you want to go. You can have the best job in the world, but if you don't love, fill in the blank, it's not good. You can be a priest, but if you don't love, what good are you? You can be a pastor, a deacon, you can have title, you can have pomp and circumstance, but if you don't love, you gain nothing. That's like, whoa, that is huge to me. And that's probably one of the things that, as people who are saints in training, we have the most to focus on to train ourselves. Because we do get wrapped up. And it's not new, because this book is 2,000 years old, and he's speaking to us there. You can, even back then, 2,000 years ago, there were people that were more focused on the fact that they could speak with the tongue of angels, that they could pray with the tongue of angels, that they got so wrapped up in that they forgot the main and core message, which is love. Now, we're taught, or at least not, if not taught, we are influenced that love looks a certain way in this world. And I am a firm believer that love is not an emotion, but it's a choice that we make. I can't, being a widow, I will tell you, there were times when my husband was alive that I would look down at him, he would be sleeping, and I'd be like, I could choke him because he'd been a jerk, or I could go make his coffee. And love was the choice that I made to go make his coffee, even though I wanted to choke him. So if we look down in verses 4 through 7, it kind of starts to tell us what love really is. Now, we already know that we can have all these fancy things, and it doesn't mean anything if we don't love. And it would be kind of brutal if they were like, here, you can have all of these things, but if you don't love, you don't get anything. Now, on to the next biz. I'm not going to tell you how to love or what love even looks like. So here, the first thing that it says in verse 4 is love is patient. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about my late husband. There were times when he and I didn't get along, and he'd be asleep, I'd get up, and I'd be like, oh, I could just choke him. I'm going to go make his coffee instead. That was a choice of patience. Could I have done other things? Well, obviously I'm probably not really going to literally choke him, but, look at the news and I wouldn't put it past anybody anymore. But it is the choice of that we make to be patient with somebody. It's that pause that we take instead of grouching at somebody. Love is kind. Excuse me. Don't have the Rona. Love is kind. Um, if you look, and I use the internet a lot, but if you look at some of the comment sections on the internet, you will see that the world is rampant with unkindness. Love is the choice to leave either a kind remark or make no remark. Sometimes it is not jealous, and here again, uh, because we have such a distorted view and inordinate or unorderly view of love, we get jealous of other people's success. For instance, going back to the first part of the thing is, he can speak in tongues, well, I can't speak in tongues. Why does he get to speak in tongues and I don't get to speak in tongues? Love is the choice to say, even though you want tongues, is to say, I'm proud that God gave him that gift. And then be patient with yourself and with him or her and allow them to have what they have and not be jealous of it. It's not pompous, it's not inflated, it's not rude, it does not seek its own interests. This will be the last thing that I tell you before I sign off for today. I believe, and I think that the Bible kind of indicates that there is no true love outside of sacrificial love. And yes, we'll get into the types of love later, agape and eros and all of those loves. But true biblical love, which is anybody is capable of doing, does not seek its own interest. It is self-sacrificing. And that is important to understand, because if you can put aside your own interests for somebody else, that's a choice. It doesn't feel good all the time, but it is a choice that you make and you can make every day. And that, my friends, is love. So I want to tell you that I love you. That's my choice. I'm doing this right here because I love you. So like, subscribe, share, give me your thoughts down in the comment section. Tell me what you think about these Bible verses, where it strikes your heart, and where you can apply it to your own recovery. And when I say recovery, I mean all kinds of recovery. Mental health, addiction, sin, obsessive thoughts, whatever you got, we can recover and we can learn how to be rightly ordered human beings. All right. God bless. I'll talk to you soon.